Are you ready to talk about what this reality is and how you can completely play with it, manipulate it, use it? You are it. You want to learn about what Neville Goddard said. Very cool guy back in the day, really talking quantum physics, but really advanced for his time. I'm going to share with you what he said about reality, how we interact with it, how we can absolutely control it. This is sort of my whole platform, right? Neville Goddard's been saying it for a long time, not to mention thousands of other spiritual teachers and even scientists now. Are you ready to believe that? Because once you do, you can go into that space where all probabilities, all things are possible. Let's go. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears and live an amazing life. Fears. Okay, let's talk about that. A fear is a barrier, it's a belief. So if you are afraid of something, you are really not believing that you have the power to change anything or that you might have created that situation in the first place. We don't want to take that responsibility. We like to say it's just happening to us, and these things are supposed to be good for me because somebody else out there is making that decision. It's just not the case. Neville Goddard. Well, I have never really read his stuff. As you know, I focus on my downloads, but recently I saw something on him and I wanted to check it out to find out just how closely he got to actual quantum physics. So Neville Goddard has a book called The Law and the Promise. He says that we are all, everything is just consciousness. We are not tapping into consciousness. We are the consciousness. If we're the consciousness, and that's how I always tell you, there's no middleman. There's nobody you have to talk to or convince or do certain things to get stuff to show up. No, because your thoughts are the very things that show up. But how do we control that? It's very simple. We're doing it 24/7. But we don't seem to be able to control those thoughts, those negative thoughts. We're conditioned to believe we are not powerful and that somehow things are happening chaotically around us and that we're just trying to survive. We go into ego mode. So the more we try to change the material world, actually the worse it gets for us because we're trying to manipulate things on the 3D level when we're actually way beyond that. So if we're working over here, we're not using that power in the way that could actually change that physical world. So Neville Goddard said that there are 4 things we must be: the producer, the director, the writer, and also the player, the actor. That means that you have to take control of every aspect. And he has this tried and true method. Maybe you want to try this one. You're going to have to really, really focus on it. And that is to take all those parts in, to create your reality and focus completely on it. Now, if you've watched my videos in the past on this, I tell you no vision board is going to bring your reality into the material world. Nothing can unless you believe it. So if I looked at a vision board and I thought, oh, I'll never get that house on the water. I'll never, how am I ever going to do this? You are actually doing the opposite. So that very belief is creating the I can't have it. Now, here's something really interesting he said. You're supposed to go into your visual reality, see it every day and know it and know it and know it. But here's what he says is a requirement. You have to go into it. Now, if you watched my last video and I said, how do we actually step into the golden era? And my advice is you have to live it now. So you can't see it and say, oh, we're going to go into it. When's it going to happen? As if something separate's happening from you. You have to actually live it now. What was interesting is Neville Goddard said the same thing. He said you have to be in the pod. What's the pod? That probability, you have to step into it. So if you have a vision and you practice every day and you know it and you create the story, how's it going to happen, lay it out, but not try to control it in the material world. Again, force things. So whatever you're envisioning will start to happen, no matter what the odds. Cray-cray stuff happens. Now again, we're not talking about violating somebody else's free will, okay? I'm talking about strictly your own reality, and that other people will step in to play in that reality with you should they choose to. And of course, there are many, many probabilities. So if it isn't that person that you want to buy your house, somebody else will come in. So you have to leave yourself open to that, but you have to see it the way you want. Let's say you want to sell your house, it's not selling. So you have to see it sold. Now, one of my students, my Breakthrough Fear students, did this. She said, wow, I'm going to see the house for sale, but here's what she did. She wiped out the for sale and put a sold sign on it with a date. And darn if 3 days later, it didn't get sold on the exact same date they got an offer. Let's say her client refuses the offer. That's okay. So that's the free will you can't control, because if they don't like the offer, they don't have to take it. That's not their reality or vision. But hers was to sell the house in 3 days on that date. And she did that. She got the offer. So she controlled the reality part on her end. And of course, the other party has that choice to participate or not. So let's say you want to sell your house. Now, what we want to do is we have to actually see what she did, see it sold. A lot of people, they'll say, oh, somebody's giving me an offer. They see an offer coming in, an offer, and then guess what? They never sell it. Just like what happened to my student. It's like, okay, that other party still has to participate. So what he recommends is, if you want to sell your house, you see yourself out in the truck with your stuff packed and somebody living in your house and you someplace else. So you have to actually have that reality request completed. We are doing it, and he absolutely teaches this constantly, is to take full responsibility for everything that's happening in your life. So in other words, if you really want something, you have to have faith. I talk about this. You cannot question this. Faith is, doesn't matter how crazy it is. You know me, I go against insane odds and get things that people are like, what the heck? Well, same thing with you. You've got to let that go, because everything's possible. You're limitless. And I'm giving you all the tools to manifest anything, but you have to do it. I can't do it for you. No fortune teller's going to do it. Nobody's going to tell you, your astrological chart and it's just going to happen for you, because free will means you're the creator. You came here to create different things, to learn and master it, and then you can go on to the next big adventure. Are you ready to do this? So I'd love to hear your stories. What is it you'd really like? You got to see it. What does it look like? And here's the other thing. You're going to know if it's going to manifest or not, because depending on how you feel when you think of it, it's either the vision board that you're saying, oh, I can't have it. I really want it, but what are the chances of me getting it? That's that feeling that's going to tell you you're not manifesting it. You have to go into it. You have to be in that house on the water, on the ocean, or whatever it is you're envisioning. You have to feel it. You got to smell it. You've got to absolutely walk through it and know it's done. And so if you don't have a dime to your name, and if you're in my free email, where is it? Free email, manifest tools to manifest anything. You know that I even showed you how to get a property, a real estate property, create a retreat or off the grid homestead, whatever you want to do on it. Want to go live that amazing clean lifestyle. There's a team of people helping you do that, even if you don't have money. And the whole plan to do it. So it's like, okay, no more excuses. These things are showing up in our lives. So if you want to get into my free email list, I'm going to give you more steps, but I'm going to keep sharing with you right here how you can manifest anything, because it's your life, you chose it, and you will manifest anything as Bob or Sally or Landria. We have to remember, I chose this role in particular. You can't just say, I wish I was a Kardashian or a movie star. It doesn't work that way. Play you out any way you want. And that includes if you want to heal yourself. You really hold that kind of power. Are you ready to go into that space? Let's go, because nothing out there stops you from living an amazing life. And if anything comes along that challenges you, just know it's there for you to master. It didn't happen to you. You were putting something out into the field that says, I still have this to work on. And then it'll show up, and then you have to take a look. And responsibility, if you do, you're saying, I am in control. Ye are all gods. These things I shall do, and more. And then you shall. You ready? I can't wait to hear your stories. I hope you'll subscribe. Okay, I hope you'll subscribe. And if you're interested in free videos with the very training I got to create online businesses, wouldn't it be great to do something you love? Why have we accepted not doing something we love for a living? We should be born doing what we love. But very few people actually do this. So I got the training, I created online businesses, and I just automatically do things I love that help other people. All you have to do is click here, and you can go into the free videos and check it out for yourself and start to make the changes in your life that you want to. I'm trying to give you as many tools as possible, all kinds of free stuff, switching the mind, but you have to take those steps and work on it. You are whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. Namaste.